Uh, Hi, I'm Joe Tobias, and Washington State elopement photographer based in Seattle. It is the end of 2021, and these are my 10 favorite photos of the year. Pretty subjective, but just stuff I like, and here's why I like them. First photo here, this is one from a stylized elopement session I did on the Olympic Peninsula. And what I love about this photo is that, I love the image, but I love how it came about, because it wasn't one of those photos that, I planned. It kind of, happened through practicing and through shooting through the session, and what actually having time to be creative can bring about. I was shooting at normal eye level kind of stuff, but it was when I used my RZ, which shoots at waist level, that's when I saw this framing of getting low to separate the couple off of the horizon line. And just how having time to try with different cameras, with different mindsets, can open up a perspective on a situation you might have not seen otherwise. This year I've continued my self-portrait project with my daughter during quarantine, which has been a really fun way to look at life and stuff. And it constantly is evolving and changing what kind of photos we're making. But I really like this one because it was hard. It was hard to make. So it's a triple exposure with one exposure of my computer with the "May the 4th be with you" sign, and then one exposure with a red light hitting me and red light hitting her, green light hitting me, or something like that. So it's 3 different photos stitched together. I practiced it on digital to get it right, and then did it on film. And to actually get those 3 completely different photos to actually come together like this, I was pretty proud of that. I really like this one just because it's the proof that it's not always about the best gear. I took this photo with an Olympus Infinity Mini, just a little tiny point and shoot I had in my back pocket. But by having that and having just a different perspective, something that just pull out and catch in the moment, worked really well. During this session we were doing near a waterfall, and it was getting whipped around. Her dress was kind of going everywhere, and just to be able to pull out the little point and shoot and click, and I had other cameras and stuff, and I don't know, but there's just something about the simplicity of using a simple camera to make a cool photo that means a lot here. This photo was actually taken at the stern of a Washington State ferry right at sunset, and I don't know, just the light feels, I don't know, almost like Santorini-y, but to be able to use the panorama settings on the Mamiya 6MF and be able to have that super wide feel, I don't know, it just feels really unique and different. It was a really fun one to be able to make. This one, I don't know, it feels like a very normal, intimate portrait, but I think it was also, this one maybe is a little bit more the story of how we got there. I've been talking with Jess for 9 months about planning her proposal in the mountains and where we were going to do it and how we were going to do it. And then there was forest fires, and it was going to be smoky, and then it cleaned out, and it just it all came together into this moment where everything just kind of worked. And it was really cool to actually finally be there. And this is the same night that I took other photos. I took this one on my Mamiya 6, which oddly enough is blown up on Instagram, at least as far as my size go, and that was the most popular photo I've ever created. But I don't know, I actually like this one better. This is, in my opinion, a better, but it's, social media and quality aren't always the same thing. I love this photo too, just because it tells a story, and it again is not saying so much it's not about the gear. This is another one that I took with my Olympus Infinity Mini. This is just this is a cheap $40 point and shoot that I had in my pocket, but because of the framing, because of the lighting, and just getting a good interaction with your subjects can create a photo that stands out and it feels true. So this photo is of my brother-in-law Kyle holding his dog standing in a river. But when I sent it to him and his wife was like, "Oh, this feels like the South to me. This feels like our experience living in North Carolina." I guess that's kind of always what you're shooting for. Is you want to make photos that feel authentic, and to actually have the person in it be like, "Oh yeah, this feels authentic." I don't know. That's kind of the goal. So this was supposed to be a sunrise elopement in 2020. Obviously that didn't happen. But when we finally got to David and Michelle's wedding in July, you'd think July in the Northwest, it should be sunny. Nope, it's totally socked in. But just to see the joy that these two had, the second one they actually got married right next to this mountain lake, and to actually make it happen, and just the way that that day, because it was so socked in, it felt very private up on the mountain. And this is a fairly popular spot. It's pretty accessible. On a nice day, you kind of always have people, and even if there aren't a lot of people, like, it just always feels like there's people around. But on a day like this, because the weather wasn't great, it drove people away, but it also just gave us this sense of intimacy on the mountain that we never could have created, we never could have planned for otherwise. And there's something about just the challenge of figuring out how to make an image that balances that intimacy with the celebration that I feel like this one really captured for me, and that's why I really like it so much. I think this is one of the best film landscape photos I've ever taken, and I don't know, it's, again, super subjective. But we're on the way to another elopement up in the mountains, and just seeing the view out over the sunset, looking out over the valley in the North Cascades, and seeing the larches just getting lit by the sun down below, with kind of the blue snow-packed peaks behind, just creating that perfect kind of V or like S shape. Just, I don't know, it just came together really, really well. And then I photographed it in digital, but then to actually have the film one come through and be able to make it like my vision, felt really, really cool. And I'm pretty proud of that one. This is definitely one of those, like, we pushed through and we made epic happen when it was a bit sketch at times. This is my year of learning how to make photos through expectations that are different than what you'd expected. Sean and Jose had planned this mountaintop elopement here in the Northwest, and they'd flown up, and it was going to be like fall in October, like early October in Seattle. And this should still be decent weather, and it was ankle deep snow, super windy, super cold, completely socked in. But through all of that, being able to, again, make an experience that is less about like matching up to this thing that you hoped it to be, which, I mean, because you're always hoping it to be something, but with that, balancing it to the day that actually was, and finding epic in the reality is a photo that, like, really feels representative of this image, as these two are just celebrating the day that they get to get married together. And then this last image, this is one of my favorites for my trip to Colorado this year, just because to have some time running around on top of mountains by myself was really fun. But there's something about, as soon as I got to the top of this Huron Peak here, looking back and just seeing that zigzag work its way away from me in that S-curve, just felt very, I don't know, I really like that S-curve. And I especially when you're shooting in the square, to have that kind of snaking line going out there just felt really cool. And to have so many wiggles and waggles and fit it all into one frame, just made it one of my favorites of the year. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed these, and I hope that you took some good photos too, and we'll see you next year.